Vanakkam. The Sanatana Dharma Rao is here to stay, and please remember that this South Indian friend of yours who's waiting for one of you to come sit beside me was the first to say it aloud. The BJP has got the stick to beat the opposition alliance. The I.N.D.I.A Bloc until the next Lok Sabha elections are done and dusted. The Dravidian Kazhagam or DMK, which is part of the I.N.D.I.A alliance, has not only become the fountainhead of the Sanatana Dharma Rao, but also adding layers to it almost every week. In the latest, Tamil Nadu Higher Education Minister K Ponmudy also commented on his version of how avoidable Sanatana Dharma is, and the clip is of course from 2nd of September. This was the same venue at which Udayanidhi Stalin had first spoken out against Sanatana Dharma, organized by the Tamil Nadu Progressive Writers Association, titled Sanatan Abolition Conclave at the Kamarajar Hall in Chennai. Now let's put things in perspective and listen to what Udayanidhi Stalin had said when he likened Sanatana Dharma to dengue and malaria.
சனாதன எதிர்ப்பு மாநாடு என்று போடாமல் சனாதன ஒழிப்பு மாநாடு என்று நீங்கள் இதை போட்டிருக்கிறீர்கள், இதை அழைத்திருக்கிறீர்கள், இந்த நிகழ்ச்சிக்கு பெயரிட்டீர்கள். அதற்கு என்னுடைய வாழ்த்துக்கள். சிலவற்றை நாம் ஒழிக்கத்தான் வேண்டும், எதிர்க்க முடியாது. கொசு, டெங்கு காய்ச்சல், மலேரியா, கொரோனா இதையெல்லாம் நம்ம எதிர்க்க கூடாது, ஒழித்து கட்ட வேண்டும். அப்படிதான் இந்த சனாதனம். சனாதனம் என்பதை எதிர்ப்பதை விட ஒழிப்பதே நாம் செய்ய வேண்டிய முதல் காரியமாகும். எனவே இந்த மாநாட்டிற்கு மிக பொருத்தமான தலைப்பு வைத்திருக்கிறீர்கள், அதற்கு என்னுடைய பாராட்டுகள். சனாதனம்னா என்ன? சனாதனம் அப்படிங்கிற பெயரே சமஸ்கிருதத்திலிருந்து வந்ததுதான். சனாதனம் சமத்துவத்திற்கும் சமூக நீதிக்கும் எதிரானது. சனாதனம்னா வேற ஒன்றும் கிடையாது. சனாதனங்கிறதுக்கு அர்த்தம் என்ன? நிலையானது, அதாவது மாற்ற முடியாதது.
After Udayanidhi Stalin came DMK MP and a staunch Stalin loyalist who likened Sanatana to leprosy and HIV and said this.
உதயநிதி ஸ்டாலின் அவர்கள் மென்மையாகத்தான் சொன்னார், மலேரியா போல டெங்கு போல ஒழிக்க வேண்டும் என்று. மலேரியாவுக்கும் டெங்குக்கும் சோசியல் ஸ்டிக்மா இல்ல, அதை ஒரு அருவருப்பா சமூகம் பார்க்காது. அருவருவாக பார்க்கிற ஒரு சனாதனத்தை சொல்லணும்னா முறைப்படி ஒரு காலத்துல தொழுநோய் இருந்தது, இப்ப ஹெச்ஐவி இருந்தது. எங்களை பொறுத்தவரை ஹெச்ஐவி தொழுநோயை போல ஹெச்ஐவி போல சமூக அவலம் நிறைந்த ஒரு நோயாகத்தான் நம்ம பார்க்கணும்.
What a shame that both these tall leaders of the DMK, that is Udayanidhi and Raja, are not only creating panic amongst people about diseases such as dengue and malaria, but also stigmatizing diseases such as leprosy and AIDS. Despite an FIR, despite a ridiculous threat from a seer in Ayodhya, Udayanidhi remains adamant and in a recent tweet put this image out. Look at this image that he put out. That's a mosquito coil, which he of course insinuates is what Sanatana Dharma is all about. This is a minister in a Tamil Nadu government. I mean, it's almost so juvenile and childlike, then one doesn't know what to make of this. This is a minister in Tamil Nadu government, the son of Muka Stalin, Udayanidhi Stalin. Now, in the latest chapter of the Sanatana Rao, Tamil Nadu Higher Education Minister K Ponmudy, the same one who remember took a jibe at those speaking Hindi, saying, if learning Hindi can get us jobs, then go see who's selling Pani Puri in Coimbatore. That man. Now this Ponmudy said at the same conclave in which Udayanidhi was there, and we shall play it out for you, but in effect, you know what he said? What he said we have displayed here, that India has been formed to fight against the principle of Sanatan Dharma. We may have differences, but the 26 parties in the alliance are united in the fight against Sanatan Dharma. Listen in to what Ponmudy said.
பத்திரிகைகளின் மூலமாக ஊடகங்களின் மூலமாக நம்முடைய இந்த சனாதன எதிர்ப்பு கொள்கையை இந்தியா என்ற இங்கே எல்லாம் நண்பர்களும் சொல்லிவிட்டார்கள். இந்த இந்தியா என்பது ஒரு சனாதன கொள்கைக்கு எதிர்ப்பாக உருவாக்கப்பட்டிருக்கிற கூட்டணி தான் இந்தியா. இதற்குள் கருத்து வேறுபாடுகள் இருக்கலாம், ஆனால் இந்த சனாதனத்தை எதிர்க்க வேண்டும் என்பதிலே யாருக்கும் எந்த வேறுபட்ட கருத்தும் இல்லை. இதில் இருப்பவர்கள் எல்லாம் சமத்துவத்தை உருவாக்க வேண்டும், மத சிறுபான்மை சமுதாயத்தை காப்பாற்ற வேண்டும், ஆண் பெண் சமத்துவத்தை காப்பாற்ற வேண்டும், இந்த சமூக சிந்தனையோடு இந்த இயக்கத்தை உருவாக்க வேண்டும் என்பதுதான் இன்று 26 கட்சிகள் உருவாகி இருக்கிற இந்த இந்தியா கூட்டணியினுடைய நோக்கம். அவர்கள் வந்திருக்கிற நீங்கள் எல்லாம் நாம் என்னதான் சமூகத்திலே நாம் எவ்வளவு செஞ்சாலும் அரசியல்ல நாம் வெற்றி பெற்று அங்க உட்கார்ந்தாதான் இதெல்லாம் செய்ய முடியும்.
Since from the time Udayanidhi spoke on Sanatana Dharma, I have maintained that this is what the Bharatiya Janata Party shall run with to target the I.N.D.I.A Bloc or alliance and keep up the pressure starting now. Mark my words, until 2024 elections are over. Listen into some of the reactions coming in against these ministers from DMK who made remarks about Sanatana Dharma.
DMK के शिक्षा मंत्री हैं, उनकी टिप्पणी जो आई है वो तो कमाल की आई है। मिस्टर पोनमुडी, और अंग्रेजी में एक शब्द है द कैट इज आउट ऑफ द बैग। जो हमारी सोच थी वो सामने आ गई कि इंडिया अलायंस का गठन ही सनातन धर्म के विरोध के लिए बना है और उसे खत्म करना है। मेरे पास उनका इंग्लिश टेक्स्ट भी है जो उन्होंने उसी सनातन धर्म विरोधी कार्यक्रम में कहा था जिसमें स्टालिन जी मुख्यमंत्री के पुत्र ने सनातन की तुलना डेंगू मलेरिया से की थी और बाद में तो डी राजा ने कहा कि ये एड्स से भी अधिक संक्रामक है, इट इज वर्स देन एड्स एंड टीबी। आज हम बीजेपी की ओर से कुछ बड़े सवाल रखना चाहते हैं। जो वहां के शिक्षा मंत्री ने कहा है वो एक सच्चाई है और इनका हिडन एजेंडा है सनातन धर्म का विरोध करके वोट बैंक की पॉलिटिक्स करना। और इस पूरी प्रक्रिया में ये लोग बहुत दिन से लगे हुए हैं। खरगे जी ने भी तो सनातन का विरोध किया था ना, जो उनके सम्मानीय अध्यक्ष हैं। क्या उन्होंने अपने पुत्र के बारे में कोई टिप्पणी किया? ये लोग एवरी रिलीजन की बात करके लिपापोती करते हैं। मैं कांग्रेस पार्टी से पूछता हूं और इस गठबंधन से पूछता हूं, क्या किसी और आस्था के देवों का आलोचना करने का इनका अधिकार है? इनकी हिम्मत है? कर पाएंगे क्या ये? हम सभी आस्थाओं का सम्मान करते हैं। सभी आस्थाओं के जो ईश्वर हैं, जिनको मानते हैं, हम सबों का सम्मान करते हैं। और ये वोट बैंक के लिए दूसरे पर तो चुप हो जाते हैं और सनातन का खुलकर विरोध करते हैं।
Please do remember that many from the India alliance are not buying Udayanidhi's mosquito logic. While K.C. Venugopal said how the Congress believes in Sarva Dharma Sambhav, Mamata Banerjee opposed what Udaya said. The RJD asked him to be circumspect, and Manikam Tagore, the MP from Sivagangai, wrote this tweet where he is clearly objected to what the DMK parties Udayanidhi Stalin as well as Ponmudy have said. There are two things to be debated today by and large. First, is the DMK right in denigrating the concept of Sanatana Dharma? And second, will this damage the I.N.D.I.A Bloc even before it has actually started, for lack of any other word, operations? Let me go to the guests right now who are joining us on the debate. Narayan Lakshman, Senior Associate Editor at The Hindu, S. Venkat Narayan, Senior Journalist and Political Analyst, and Dr. Baswaraj Itnal, Senior Journalist and Political Analyst, have joined us. We shall be joined by more guests as we go along. Hello to all the guests. Vanakkam, good to see you. Narayan Lakshman, do you think, like I thought, I've debated this now, it's been going on and on, it doesn't really abate. Do you think that the basic is, is a communication problem, or rather how you understand something? In the South, the way Sanatana Dharma is understood is very different from the way it is understood in the North. I think, correct me if I am wrong, but in the South somehow, and I am so sorry, but it's, it actually manifests semi-literacy on the part of certain leaders, because they are talking about Varna Ashrama in the same breath. They also confuse Manusmriti. I mean, it's a different book. I don't like it, I don't want to go about it, but then the point is, it's about how Sanatana Dharma is understood, and therefore this huge problem today about that you are denigrating the entire community, as it were.
Yes, absolutely, Sudha. I think many a slip between the cup and the lip, as they say, and a lot is lost in translation, literally in this case. The reason being, you not only have a difference of language here, but you also have a very different ideological history, which means that when you speak of a term such as Sanatana Dharma, leaders tend to mean very different things by it. So on the Dravidian ideology side, obviously, the resonance of that term is to do much more with caste, combating social injustices, the rights of women and children, the rights of discriminated communities of all kinds, indeed, and historically how reforms have been the answer to dealing with it. Therefore, the unstated intention behind the remark is also of so-called eradication or abolition is social reform. Now, that is one side, as you correctly pointed out. There is another side where it has caused extreme injury to sentiment, religious sentiment, because, without getting into the debate of who coined the term Sanatana Dharma, was it an ancient Hindu concept, or was it ascribed and became popular during the British colonial period? Without getting into that debate, because that can go on for a long time, it is definitely to be acknowledged that it is a wide or a broad-ranging term which includes some aspect of religious codes and ethics and religious practice, as specifically as Hindus have been practicing in many parts of the country. So for that reason, there's been enormous injury caused to that sentiment. The second thing, and I'll stop here for now, aspect of this debate is the personality of Udayanidhi Stalin himself, and what many have alluded to as, his desire to also, encouraged by his father, perhaps the chief minister, to emerge onto the political stage and, sort of make a name for himself. This is an unfortunate way to do that, but perhaps just draw attention within the media cycle even, and that could have, as you said correctly, a bit of a blowback for the India alliance, but I'll leave it at that for now.
Very well said, Narayan, but I think that it's a kind of knee-jerk because he may have set out to say something, but it sounded like something else, and that comes from when you're not clear about concept. It's like me playing chess. I can't to save my life, so I will never even attempt to do that. I watch the game, but I do not attempt to play because I don't have the wherewithal to do it. And I think Udayanidhi Stalin, for lack of any other word, needs to be pickled a bit more politically for him to come out and even say what his grandfather, who was absolutely brilliant when it came to these things, did. S. Venkat Narayan, sir, I want to ask you the next question, is that, look at it, when it started, I was prescient enough because I'm a Tamil, so I understand where it's coming from and what it can do, and I grew up in the north, so I knew that what it can do to those sitting in the north. It's done exactly that, in the sense has driven a wedge. Do you think that the India Bloc or alliance, even before it has started, and I'm not just talking about the Bharat Jodo Yatra which they are now planning, 2.0, where they're going to really concentrate on Northeast a lot. But do you think that it has already kind of corroded it, or, driven a wedge, or, there's been a chink in its armor?
Sudha, I think what Uday has said could virtually end up as the last nail in the coffin of I.N.D.I.A Bloc. If I sound seem to be exaggerating, I'm sorry about that, because the way, I think there's a lot of confusion in the minds of Uday and people who are supporting him. They are mistaking Sanatana Dharma, they are equating it with BJP, which it is not. And so they think by attacking Sanatana Dharma, they are attacking BJP. And the education minister is being preposterous by claiming that all the 26 parties are out to finish off Sanatana Dharma. What I believe he meant was that they want to finish off BJP. But BJP and Sanatana Dharma are very different from each other.
Right.
And the kind of irresponsible statements Uday and his sycophants Raja and Ponmudy have been making are going to do a greater damage to I.N.D.I.A Bloc as an opposition bloc, for the simple reason that Mamata Banerjee has made it clear she doesn't agree with what Uday is saying. Venugopal has said, and so many other leaders have said. Even RJD have issued a statement disassociating themselves from what Uday is saying. There is no need for any controversy of this kind. As it is, I.N.D.I.A Bloc, the alliance, the opposition bloc, it hasn't gotten its act that they have 26 different parties, and they're speaking in 52 different languages. They have to get their act together. And our friend Rahul Gandhi is going to Europe and making, peculiar kind of statements. I don't think they are meant to help the I.N.D.I.A Bloc to emerge as a solid opposition bloc to defeat the BJP-led N.D.A in the next election, I am afraid, Sudha.
Right. Dr. Baswaraj Itnal, I want to ask you that what Uday has said, and of course, more loyal than the king types, Mr. Raja and also Ponmudy, all of them, echoing echo chambers, as it were. I say all this, and a lot of people have criticized me for saying this. I'm saying this because it's now coming out of my ears. Honestly, I'm kind of tired of this, let's get on with something else now. Do you think this will prove to be the Bajrangbali moment for the I.N.D.I.A Bloc? Because what Uday has said will reflect on all the 26 parties, Dr. Itnal. It's not that he said it. Of course, I'll talk about how he said it, and he scooted from there as if he is a separate entity altogether. He's not. He's part of a conglomerate, as it were, a political one. But do you think this will be the Bajrangbali moment, like it was for the BJP in Karnataka, for the I.N.D.I.A Bloc, Dr. Itnal?
The Bajrangbali moment was a little, it did not work for BJP because they, openly twisted what the Congress manifesto had said. But that that being so, let us understand this entire issues by layers. One is this debate about Sanatana Dharma and whether it is to be abolished, whether it is to be eradicated, whether it is to be opposed or abused, whatever. The point is, this kind of a religious debate and contradiction and conflicts have been going on not only in India, elsewhere also for times immemorial. In the West, we had Friedrich Nietzsche who had attacked church and the Bible and the God, everything, and even yet outright trashed them.
Right.
And in India also, we had so many traditions. We had, even in Karnataka only, we had Basava, Lingayatism, Basava movement, where much stronger words have been said about Sanatana Dharma and Sanatana practices. But the thing is, they were thinkers, they were religious leaders, they were social reformers.
Yes.
They had something better to offer.
Yes.
At least they believed they had something better to offer. They just did not attack, or they did not say it's a disease or eradicate. No, they had some alternative model. Whether it is religion or the governance,
right.
Unless you have a better alternative tell the people don't buy you. For example, this India Bloc started off saying that this is formed to defeat Modi. And defeating somebody cannot be, the one and only goal of complete opposition. It cannot be, unless you have an alternative to offer, unless you have an alternative leadership to offer, unless you have an alternative governance model to offer.
Unless you are a kingdom, like in the good old days, then you say, "Oh, I'm going to vanquish this king." Yeah, it's kind of juvenile.
And give what?
Yeah,
you vanquish, but give what?
Exactly.
What is the alternative?
Yes.
So now, like Mr. Ravi Prasad told in the press conference, the cat is out of the bag. Right away, the Ponmudy has, openly, blatantly said that we have formed this alliance to eradicate or to abolish Sanatana Dharma. Is eradication of any Dharma is a political party's objective?
Dr. Itnal,
it's like saying we'll eradicate.
Dr. Itnal, poor cat. I mean, that's not even a cat. I think it's just gas, because the way Ponmudy said, he doesn't, like, Narayan Lakshman said, and like all of you know well, that he equates Sanatana Dharma with the high caste, with Brahmanical hegemony. And, he doesn't understand that even Varnashrama, where, there are different, according to your duties, your given professions, I don't believe in it, none of us do. He's silly, and I think he's just ruined it for the entire bloc, is what I think, Dr. Itnal.
Come to think of it, the DMK and Dravidian movement was so active in Tamil Nadu for so many years, so many decades. Have they provided an alternative? Let's not go get into what is Varnashrama and all that. It may be good, bad, whatever. You are opposed to it, right? DMK, Dravidian movement is opposed to it. Have you created an alternate model of society? Have you created an alternate model of governance?
Right. Yeah.
You are in power for such a long time.
Yeah. So
that is something that's where these people sound hollow.
JVC Sriram, author and political analyst, also live with us right now. I'll go to him in a bit. Narayan Lakshman, I want to come to you. I've watched the DMK through all this Sanatana Dharma drama that's been enacted by 2-3 people from DMK. They seem to be quiet about it, and I think it's of course political convenience, considering they are in alliance with the Bharatiya Janata Party. But they are also a sliver of the Dravidian movement. Do you think it's only political compulsion which is making them keep quiet? That is my first question to you. And number two is, since this government took oath, one has been watching, it went to town about abolishing NEET, nothing was done. I don't blame them. It's like me seeing I will shoot an arrow through the sky, I ain't going to do it ever. So NEET became like that. The caste violence has increased, even as we are speaking, the Thuthukudi violence has happened. Children are being chased after with sickles due to caste. They failed on what they call Samutavam, Swayamaryade, everything. Do you think Sanatana Dharma is the last thing that they want to kind of, hang on to for survival? You have to unmute yourself, Narayan, please. Thank you.
Sorry, let me answer your questions in order. So the first question on the ADMK's silence, so to speak, they have been muted on this. You're absolutely right. I think they are in a difficult political position vis-a-vis the alliance with the BJP. But that has been a bit prickly, even notwithstanding any philosophical issues, because they have essentially signed up to do a balancing act between Dravidian politics and Hindutva politics the moment they signed on. And this is not even the first time. Their illustrious leader, the late Ms. Jayalalitha, did the same. She entered into the alliance. Of course, she also pulled the rug out from under them. So they are no strangers to political opportunism. But I think for them, the real question they're going to have to answer is to the supporters and to the voters. Firstly in the Lok Sabha election, then obviously at the next assembly election, as to where do they stand. Are they a hardcore Dravidianist party which believes in that tenet of social justice to the point of even conflating caste injustice with Sanatana Dharma, or are they going to take a much softer version of it? Because after all, their priority was to have a charismatic leader of like the stature of MGR and Jayalalitha, who then in a paternalistic manner doles out freebies and welfare goods, depending on how you see, which is their main mode of thinking. So that is their conundrum. So let me leave that there. Your second question was relating more to the presence of caste injustice and caste violence across the state. As Mr. Itnal said, Dr. Itnal said, there is very much a scenario where caste-related tensions are prevalent widely, but that is not to say that Tamil Nadu politics over the decades since 1967 has not done something to move power broadly from the upper caste to the middle caste. Let's not just assume everything goes to the lower caste. That is the utopia, maybe for the Dravidian project, but that's not happened.
Okay.
The middle caste is now very dominant. Power has been taken from the hands of the Brahmins since 1967 and certain other upper castes that enjoyed it due to the colonial inheritance.
Right. Sriram, I want to welcome you. And Sriram, I want to ask you that because of the Sanatana Dharma remarks which have been made by Udayanidhi, by Raja, by Ponmudy today and several others, do you think it has already kind of created a division amongst or damaged, let me use a better word, damaged the India Alliance bloc, as it were?
See, I think the India Alliance members are definitely feeling very uncomfortable with the kind of comments which has been emanating from the Dravidian Dravida Munnetra Kazhagam. Because if you understand, it was Shiv Sena which came out with the rebuttal first, then Mamata Banerjee had to share her viewpoint, then you had RJD and also RJD leaders coming on the national television channel saying that this is not the line of thinking which we are going to take. Even Aam Aadmi Party would have to take such a stance. Even Congress at the central level, central leadership level, had a different stance. But Tamil Nadu Congress, they call them Dravida Congress because they have kept their party pledged to Arivalayam for a very long time. As a result of which you can't blame them, because they are playing opportunistic politics, and one can understand what they are going through. But certainly the I.N.D.I.A alliance is actually into a problem at this point in time. And I do not know, are there communication lines open between various states and Arivalayam, or there are no communication channels? Because if there are communication channels, I'm absolutely sanguine that some of the alliance partners would have told that this kind of things is going to definitely hurt at the all India level, particularly in the heartland and the Western India level. Because probably in Tamil Nadu, it might be a non-issue going into the election. That's what I think so, because I do not know how much of an impact these kind of comments would make as far as Tamil Nadu voter is concerned. Probably not, I guess so. But beyond Gummidi Pundi, certainly if you take the case of states like Telangana, Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, Maharashtra, Uttar Pradesh, certainly these kind of comments, Chhattisgarh, these kind of comments are not going to be taken very lightly. And obviously the beneficiary would be BJP. See, even if you take the case of the BJP, Bharatiya Janata Party, I think at this point in time, you have started seeing that, they're translating things into Hindi, they would put it out, they would take this to the Hindi heartland.
Right.
That this is the kind of message that Congress alliance partner,
on
whose basis Congress has won, say, probably 9 seats in 2019.
Right.
And this is the kind of stance they're taking. So what is going to be the Congress response and rebuttal?
Right.
And so that's what I think.
Okay, Sriram. As Mr. Venkat Narayan, I want to ask you that yes, this is Dravidian ideology. They have been saying it since the 60s. I have heard it from different leaders. Of course, I have heard very erudite leaders also like Tandai Periyar, Annadurai, read them widely. And, I think they were erudite. But then there have also been others who are half-baked. And I want to ask you that just because the Dravida Munnetra Kazhagam wanted to further their own interest, to show how loyal they are towards their ideology, and don't you think it's a very selfish thing to do for them to have damaged the reputation of the India bloc? You don't do that when you're part of a group. I mean, if I'm part of a group, I'm not going to go there and assert myself and say, this is how I am. When the higher caste does it, they laugh at the higher caste, right? So I'm saying that the same thing applies to them. It's my way or highway. So I think somewhere what they have done is very, very selfish and very, very self-limiting, Mr. Venkat Narayan.
Absolutely, Sudha. The other thing what I want to ask is, the Dravidian movement was started by Periyar as primarily an anti-Brahman movement.
Right.
Now, since 1967, the DMK or the DMK have been in power in Tamil Nadu. I want to know what have they done to improve the lot of the Dalits and the backward classes. And as you have said repeatedly, the Dalits are still being bashed up, beaten up, and their girls are being chased with sickles and all kinds of things. So it seems to me that they are using this anti-Brahmanism or anti-Sanatana Dharma to promote their own interests. And you have been there for nearly 60 years in power, both DMK and I.N.D.I.A. The national parties have been completely wiped out in that part of the country. And what I want to ask, what have they done to improve the lot of the downtrodden or the damned of Tamil Nadu? I'm afraid precious little. And the other thing is, I think if Udayanidhi said what he did out of sheer ignorance or whatever, he was actually reading from a written text. If you noticed,
Yes.
close up, I don't know who wrote the speech, but his father came out in defense of him, and then you have Ponmudy and Raja coming out strongly in defense of him. If they think that this controversy will project Udayanidhi as Stalin's successor, I'm afraid they are not right. They are absolutely wrong. So since Periyar started the anti-Brahman movement, the world has changed. There is a lot of change. I'm not saying that everything is good, but it is not there anymore. India of the 21st century is very, very different from the India in which Periyar and Anna-Durai, launched their anti-Brahman movement. All the intellectuals, Brahmins, I'm sorry, they are running away to America. And you have Vivek Ramaswamy, he might end up as the president, if not this time, next time. So the entire Silicon Valley is packed with Tamil Brahmins. I mean, this is mass migration of a persecuted community, if I may say so.
Right.
If I sound controversial, I'm sorry about that, but this is a statement of fact. So I think the Dravidian parties have to swing again and again. The I.N.D.I.A Bloc, some of their prominent leaders have already expressed their views.
Yeah, Ms. Venkat Narayan, I also kind of agree, concur with what Narayan Lakshman said, that it's not as if the Dravidian parties have not done anything for the intermediary castes, and also because there has been Brahminical hegemony for centuries, and the kind of injustices they perpetrated on other castes is what legends are made of. I mean, there is no denying that. That's another conversation, but I think that overall, Udayanidhi Stalin, and I've stuck my neck out thrice, I think he comes from a place where he doesn't understand the nuances of this. I mean, to describe Sanatana Dharma in my way is fine, but like Dr. Itnal said, that if you are someone like Basavanna or Akka Mahadevi, fine, but you ain't that. I mean, you are not Subramaniam Bharati, you are not Thiruvalluvar. These were greats who could decode it and give it to the people, but he is not someone like that. Dr. Itnal, when the I.N.D.I.A Bloc was being formed, experts were saying that there are already problems galore. How will you manage the Congress and the Aam Aadmi Party? What will they do in Punjab, for instance? Then of course there were lots of little knots which had to be untied. Uddhav Thackeray's recent comment about Godhra. Then there was one Sharad Pawar, who was also standing there. Then there was, of course, there were 1001 problems which were going on about seat sharing, which they have to apparently do by the end of this month. And except for one or two parties, the other parties are saying, no, why should we declare you first? They don't want to do that. They want Congress to stick their neck out because, if they win, Rajasthan, Chhattisgarh, they fear that, they will have an upper hand, etc., etc. But you know what? All those could still be something which the political Chanakyas will sit and kind of thrash out. But this problem which Udayanidhi Stalin and his ilk have created, don't you think that this will now snowball into something else altogether? Something else. How else do you do it then? How else do you solve it, Dr. Itnal?
This, Udayanidhi Stalin or D. Raja or Ponmudy have hugely helped BJP's cause in this case, because now you have lost, the India alliance has lost any moral grounds to criticize anybody who says we do not want Muslim votes. Criticize somebody who says that let us send all Muslims to Pakistan. That because there were a lot of elements in the other side of the political spectrum were saying this. They were so blatantly anti-Muslim, anti-minority. Now you have lost that moral high ground when you say that I need to eradicate Sanatana Dharma. You know, eradication of Dharma or ethnic cleansing is not our political culture. It is not our constitutional ethos. So now you have lost that moral high ground also. Now you are saying you are against somebody, and the other party is against somebody else. So this has got nothing to do with governance, and that governance game also had lost long ago. Because when you start off saying that we have come together only to defeat Mr. Modi, you lost it. Because you are admitting that there are no ideological consistencies in this coalition partner. Look at, how do you expect Mamata Banerjee to work with communists in West Bengal? How is Shiv Sena supposed to work with Congress or so-called secular, part of the Congress? These are not highly unlikely things.
Yeah,
even in a highly hypothetical scenario, even if you assume that they will manage to defeat Modi, then will they be able to hold together? How long will they be able to hold together? The same thing happened to Janata Party, which was formed only to defeat Indira Gandhi.
But you're
they
right.
They could not survive 2 years.
Yeah, but I'm happy Dr. Itnal and Mr. Venkat Narayan, both of you, who otherwise have always, defended the syncretic tradition of this country, today are saying it very clearly that if that is right, this is also very right. He can't, he cannot speak like that. Narayan Lakshman, I want to ask you something that, would you agree that it will be seen only through the prism of hypocrisy on the part of the DMK? Because, if imagine a situation, of course, they have bashed upper caste for decades and centuries. Their prerogative, they can do it. They use very disparaging even symbols and stuff like that on Twitter, now X, showing thread and all that. So, which is fine, they can laugh at the upper caste because they think that it's their prerogative, good for them. But I'm asking you, do you think anyone would have tolerated, the Dravida Munnetra Kazhagam, have tolerated if, let us say, hypothetically, in the realm of speculation, if the governor, Ravi, they have always kind of, had lots of problems, the governor, had said something about the minorities in this light or any other prominent person, would the DMK have kept quiet, that they expect others to keep quiet now that they made the Sanatana Dharma comment?
So that's a very powerful question, because I think it goes back to one point I made in the beginning, which is, really, this is going to be about explaining your chosen rhetoric and the kind of issues you're bringing into the surface to your own voters. And therein lies the rub, in the sense that Tamil Nadu society, the youth especially, there is a new idiom, there is a new appreciation of a broader India, of a multicultural India. I say this not to deny that, of course, the Hindutva project in the north is also a fairly, homogenizing project in the sense of trying to bring people under one umbrella and one definition. That I don't want to conflate with that. But what I'm saying is, the people of Tamil Nadu themselves, especially the youth, the young voters, are of a different milieu and a different mindset to what they were in 1967, and even right up to the end of the 20th century. The so-called millennials and beyond are thinking differently.
Yeah.
So this kind of anger that is sort of subliminal within the comment of eradicating Sanatana Dharma, does that echo even in terms of, even if you don't care about Sanatana Dharma, is that what people want to hear here? Do they instead prefer that you talk more about jobs and growth?
God, yes, you nailed it.
Other things.
Yeah, absolutely.
Shooting yourself in the foot.
Yeah, Narayan Lakshman, we were discussing this in the newsroom, and we were saying, Tejashwi Yadav, I don't hold a brief for him. But, when his father was in jail, this is what berozgari, that is unemployment. Logon ko kaam dijiye. He said, give jobs to people. He just focused on that and almost defeated the BJP, because you're right, the millennials, all of them want jobs, the women want security to go out and work, They want dignity. All the castes want dignity. This is what they want. They don't care about Sanatana Dharma and what it happens. But maybe in Tamil Nadu, and also I am taking something away from what Sri Ram said and going back to Sri Ram. Sri Ram, you said that it will not be an election issue at all in Tamil Nadu. No one will bother. But I am saying this again. Don't you think that in the overall scheme of things, even as the country, is hurtling towards 2024, this Udayanidhi Stalin, stroke Raja, stroke Ponmudy, I don't know how many are waiting in the wings, again and again saying the same things to prove how loyal they are to the Muthuvel household. Don't you think that it has created a massive kind of groundswell for the BJP leaders to run with? They are just going to go on about this.
Yeah, definitely. See, I'm not saying that it will not. I don't know whether it will or not, because knowing Tamil Nadu, having seen Tamil Nadu politics in close proximity for several decades, I can only think that, because Stalin in 2016 talked about, when he talked to the national media, said, my only 3 priorities are development, development, development. Now we have seen what kind of talks which we have been hearing from the last 1 year. See, you have picked up only today. But last September onwards, Mr. A. Raja has been making these kind of comments. He was making a lot of other comments, like, say, if you are an Hindu, you are a prostitute son, and so on.
Yeah, I know. Despicable.
So these are all last 1 year they've been doing it. And I do not know who is writing the script. That's what I'm saying. Who is keeping the time? Because see, if the kind of an national movement against this happens, when I say national movement, a kind of a national, awakening kind of stuff, these kind of politics, you cannot play it. You cannot be against 80% of India's population. If that is going to be overwhelmingly felt across the Hindi heartland and the Western India, Tamil Nadu cannot be insulated. Tamil Nadu will also get affected. But the extent and the magnitude is something which we have to wait and watch. I really believe, that's why I see Tamil Nadu politics in the last, say, around, particularly after 2009, after the by-election which happened in Thirumangalam, has revolved more towards freebies, towards money and, the liquor. These have dominated the Tamil Nadu politics and the Tamil Nadu electoral politics. I really wish a paradigm shift takes place and people start taking note of it, because DMK is the party which says that we do not want to do politics based on religion. Religion should be kept out of politics. But who has brought religion? Nobody. I don't know. See, governor might have made a comment, and you might have given a rejoinder, or you might have said that we don't accept these kind of statements.
Right.
But to go on and say that I'm going to eradicate is taking this too far. And then one thought that probably after Udayanidhi's challenge statement, it all came to a full stop. Now we saw Ponmudy pick up the issues. We saw A. Raja pick up the issue. I don't know, is there an internal conspiracy within DMK? You cannot stop thinking from different angles, because any politician and the Lok Sabha election round the corner should know that these things will only boomerang for yourself. It's not going to fetch you votes. It's not going to attract voters, or going to move away from you. If you're going to make these
Narayan Lakshman said this, Sri Ram, when he began. He said, amongst many things, also lost in translation. And I think the eradication word is clearly a literal translation of Orige. We've heard, with due apologies to any of you who do not understand Tamil, Orige, Hindi Orige. Like, similarly, he used that literally. That's what I said. It comes from a semi-literate understanding of stuff, unfortunately. And I don't think he's adept at, putting that in a better way that it requires, of course.
Then he should not have talked.
No, but then
he should not have picked up the issue. He should not have picked up the issue.
So that's the thing, right? So you speak out of turn, and all I am saying is that, okay, for you maybe it does not matter because you've said it 90,000 times, but what about the I.N.D.I.A Bloc? That is something which is going to suffer majorly. Dr. Itnal, a lot of experts are saying that this is now advantage BJP in Tamil Nadu because of Annamalai. He did a Padayatra. He's the right caste also. He's been going around. He's from, someone who can speak, as you know, is Karnataka cadre, the Singham and all that. Do you think that the BJP has any chance? You ask me, it's a no, but I'm asking you. That with this Sanatana Dharma, will the BJP get a fillip?
They will get a very, sensational talking point at least. Because not only in Tamil Nadu, not only whatever, Annamalai is doing that may or may not have an impact. But by association, the India coalition partners will have to answer. They will be held to account by NDA, and they have nothing to answer. If at all they have to answer, then that answer will come across as a chink in the armor of India alliance itself. That it comes across as dissent among partners, because there are certain elements like DMK, Raja and Udayanidhi Stalin, who would be probably continue the same kind of attack. But whereas we have other leaders in the India alliance like Mamata Banerjee or Uddhav Thackeray who don't agree with it. So it comes across as an inconsistency, so to say. So that will not serve any purpose to alliance. And the India alliance, they had been talking about employment and economy for some time. But till last year, I don't know why suddenly they shifted their focus to all this religion and Dharma and all. I don't know.
It's so unfortunate. And also, although Udayanidhi Stalin said that, that I do not know, he said in one of his speeches, why is everyone discussing me? I think he must be really laughing aloud right now that the whole country is now talking about him, whether for his infamous statements or famous, God alone knows, and I've used that word with careful consideration. God alone knows. But the point is that he has done it, and for now the I.N.D.I.A Bloc seems to be in, walking on eggshells. Thank you very much, gentlemen. It was really wonderful to be speaking to all of you. Narayan Lakshman, Mr. Venkat Narayan, Dr. Baswaraj Itnal and JVC Sriram. Thank you indeed. And the South Indian will say goodbye right now, and Vanakkam, but news and all the analysis associated with it. This is the destination, says the South Indian. News9 Live. Vanakkam.
Pakistan is actually genociding Baloch people. So being Baloch is a crime. If you are a Baloch, it means in the eyes of Pakistan, you don't have any right to live.
The Chinese and Pakistanis are colonizing the Baloch and exploiting their resources.